Hi there. I'm Peter McClellan, as many of you know, the 401k Latte Company, and I'm joined by Jeff Hyback of Strategic Equity Management. And I've got some important, fun, good news that we want to share with you. Jeff, back December, I think it was, Jeff and I were talking about something he had cooking that I was curious about, and where they trade, where they have things that are held in the custodianship of the portfolios. So, Jeff, tell the audience, if you would, what were you telling me back in December that I kind of said, wow, interesting.
Yeah, that's a really good question. We kind of took a different tact in 2016 where we, instead of asking people, hey, what are we doing well, we started asking them, what don't you like about SEM?
Yeah.
And so we started with our largest advisors. Obviously, you're a critical advisor to our firm, and so we asked you and we asked your staff, what are your clients saying? We asked this of other advisors around the country. Mm-hmm. And there started to be a few common themes. Number one was they didn't like having multiple accounts for one registration. So if you wanted 2 SEM investment programs, it took 2 accounts, mm-hmm. and they didn't like that.
Right.
Tying that together, they didn't like the TDA website.
True.
They didn't like the statements that they got, all the paper they got, and a bunch of other things, how long distributions took and things like that. So we started looking around and saying, well, how can we make our service better? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the answers we were getting from TD Ameritrade was, there's not a lot of things you can do. There's a few workarounds you can do, but this is pretty much what you get. And so we said, well, maybe we can look at other technology solutions, outsourcing software that we can make it better for the clients. And we looked at a lot of different things. And I happened to know somebody way back, from the 90s, mm-hmm. that used to hold a similar position of what I held when I started with SEM, which was just basically the operations manager.
Right.
And her firm was much larger than ours, and it was almost a sister company of ours in that we did joint work with them. I knew she had moved on to another company, and I reached out to her on LinkedIn and I said, Sue, I'd just like to hear what your thoughts are of how we can grow more efficiently. And it just so happened that she worked for a firm called Trust Company of America. And she said, I'm going to be in Arizona next week. Maybe I can just come in and do a little consulting for you. And so she came in, and as she started talking about things and ideas, and I showed her our list from our advisors of everything that they didn't like, and she said, would you mind if I just gave you a demo of our website? And once she did, I just thought, wow, this is good. This is something else. And so that's when I started then getting feedback from the advisors, and that's how our call in December came up. And that pretty much cemented the deal for us. You were excited, our advisors were excited. Most importantly, your back office staff was really excited.
Let me tell you why I was excited, because as many of you know, when we've asked you to come on in, we do a review and we look at your portfolio and we want to make a shift or a change, it's always another form to sign, always another paper. Well, there's going to be paper this time, but this time it's going to make things a lot easier, a lot less paper. For years, Strategic Equity has run combinations of what they call scientifically engineered programs, different ways of investing that work together to give you diversification, to make things go well. Well, the nice thing about this whole system is many of you have, if you have one IRA, you've had 3 or 2 or 3, in some cases more, account numbers. This is going to consolidate to one account, but yet within that one account, we'll be able to run all the different programs, the Encore programs, different strategies working together in one account. If and when there's a time where SEM says we need to change this or modify on one strategy, they're going to be able to make that tweak across the board for everybody, as long as they're keeping your portfolio in what we've agreed to in terms of the parameters for how much risk, what we're trying to shoot for in terms of return over time. So I'm very excited about that, because that's been a very cumbersome process for our office, for you the clients, for us as the advisors, and also for Strategic Equity. So I'm very excited about it. Jeff, tell us, what people often get kind of puzzled by this. What is a custodian? I often think of the janitor at the high school that would go outside and smoke cigars. What's the custodian?
Yeah,
that's not what we're talking about.
No,
right?
Definitely not. Right. I think, really the way I think of it, and if you happen to look on your computer, some people notice it says Intel. Other people it says AMD, whatever. It's kind of the back engine behind the investment account. And the custodian serves some really critical roles though. First of all, it's important to understand that when SCM manages the money, we do not have access to that more than just we are authorized to make purchases and sales on behalf of the client, collect management fees, and then make distributions if the client requests them. 401k Latte does not have access to the account. And that's important. So the custodian is sort of that firewall where they're holding things. So one of the first things they have to do is just help us do purchases and sales. If I need to make a buy order into XYZ mutual fund, that's the vehicle we do it from. And then from there, they also report back, well, this is what each individual client holds. Because if they want to take the account and transfer it to a different place, a different custodian, it's their money, their funds, they can transfer it in kind over. That's sometimes why you get some of that paperwork that says, hey, you need to vote on this because you are the owner of that account. The other thing that they'll do is they will do all the account administration stuff. You know, if somebody needs a distribution, if somebody wants to put money into the account, change of address.
Beneficiary changes.
Yes, beneficiary changes,
Very
all of
important.
that. One of the other things that I think I would not want to do is collecting dividend and interest and paying that out, because if somebody buys a fund on the 4th, they'll get a different rate of dividends or interest than somebody who bought it on the 1st. So the custodian will look at how many days you were in there, what the dividend rate was, and distribute that accordingly. And then finally, you know, this time of year it's always a sensitive issue, but they handle all the tax reporting. It's insane, the rules on tax reporting and why you have to get those 1099s.
I know.
That's why I'm glad a custodian's doing that.
Okay, so all the things that have been going on continue to go on, but you know, people know TD Ameritrade because it's a name. They advertise it on football games on Sunday, and TCA, Trust Company of America. You know, I know of them because I've been in the industry, but who is TCA? Tell us about. I mean, I know that they're a custodian. Tell us about them a little bit.
Trust Company of America is an independent trust company. And is a lot different than TD Ameritrade as a brokerage, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, all those. They're brokerages, and brokerages serve a different role. Brokerages can buy and sell securities for themselves, for clients. They can hold things in inventory. A trust company is basically just there to be a record keeper. And you haven't heard of Trust Company of America because their clients are other advisors like us, like 401k Latte. So all of their marketing is done to the advisor business, not the individual client business. And from our perspective, that's something we really appreciate because they know our business. They're not trying to be the best for the retail. They ask their advisors, what does your client base want? And that's what they try to provide. I actually got to know them back in 2003, 2004. We worked for another advisor as a private label. So we managed money, but it looked like the advisor was doing it. So we actually used their platform. I was very well familiar with them. And through my due diligence process, I've found, in fact, you know, some of the managers you know and that you've used with your clients, they've been with trust companies since the 90s.
For years,
and so it's really important. I like that they're independent. They're not going to be messing around with, you know, buying and selling bonds and CDs just to try to make money or to hold them in their inventory. The other really important thing to understand is they're government regulated. The cash that's held on hand is first put in an FDIC insured money market account, and then it is automatically swept if there's excess above a certain percent over to the Federal Reserve. And so that means they're regulated both by the Federal Reserve and the FDIC to make sure that they are very safe and secure.
And again, we're just referring to the cash portion that's going to be FDIC. Obviously, investments are going to fluctuate in value.
Absolutely. They can't guarantee the investments, but they can guarantee that who owns those investments continue to own those investments, and that's part of the regulations as well. And I think most importantly, they are by far the technological leader in this space. They know what advisors want, and they've built this just amazing backbone. I went and visited their offices in Denver, and 1/3 of their staff is their technology team. They have an entire wing that is all tech, and they had a project board that, you know, was probably the size of this whole wall, and they just had things advisors have requested and where they were at in the process.
And they're working.
And it's obvious, and I mean, your team saw some of it yesterday, and they did. Wow, this is really cool.
We're impressed. So, Jeff, for the you know, a lot of folks, well, more and more people are more computer savvy. They'll go onto a website and they'll look at their account. But tell us, how does that technology transfer for a better experience for the end user, our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the neat things, first of all, it's called Liberty. So Trust Company of America, if you see the name
website,
Liberty,
right?
their website's called Liberty.
Okay.
And one of the best things is, you know, all those people who hated the TD Ameritrade website,
Yeah.
it's night and day difference. Of you log into your account, you have access to all your account information,
Right.
consolidated, and then as we mentioned, you no longer have to have multiple accounts inside of
Right.
you know,
One registration.
Yeah, one registration. So now you can see what investment models you have. You can see the performance of that overall. You can see it
Right.
combined. Yesterday we learned you can actually pull up multiple accounts and say, well, let's look at my IRA, my Roth,
Sure.
and my trust account all in one,
Right.
and then start breaking it out.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get things where you're going to see full transparency, every transaction that took place, fees, dividends, you know,
All of
purchases
it.
and sales,
Sure.
things like that. Really important. You're going to have 4 years worth of account statements on there. And you're going to have 2 years of your tax documents. So if you say, you know what, I can't remember where I put that, it's on there. If you know, if they don't have it, they can call your office
Right,
and you
right.
guys can get it.
Sure.
And then, you know, most importantly, I think is, and we saw it yesterday when we were in here with your back office, is it can make them so much more efficient.
Yeah.
RMD information, all the stuff they have to pull together for you to do a
Right.
client review, it can be done like that. They can
Nice.
get custom reports, so it's done. And you know, Sarah even said, "Well, I guess you don't need me anymore," and it's not true, but
Right.
it does make her job easier. And then from the SEM perspective, it gives us a way to offer much more sophisticated portfolio management. You know, you will do your risk scoring and you'll
Yep.
say, well, this is the Encore portfolio they should go in, which might be 2 or 3 programs.
Yep.
But maybe they have something else that, you know, 5 or 10% of the money that the client likes or that you think is a good idea that you can put in there and layer that onto the account.
Okay.
And it just gives us a truly custom option for all of our clients.
Oh, I'm very excited about it. Let me share too, because as we've done some seminars, there can be a little bit of confusion. Many of you have been with us through broker-dealer changes, you know, when we left FSC years ago to work with Genios. And so these names get thrown around and confuse people. What we're talking about here is strictly the money that you have with us with SEM managing it at TD Ameritrade. That's the portion that's going to be transferring. Other accounts that you have, it's not affected. It's people are wondering, is this going to change everything? No. It changes the part of your portfolio, and for many of you, you have a significant portion of your portfolio managed by SEM. So it's going to affect that, and it's not a big deal for you. We'll get through it. It's really not an investment decision either. You don't really have to think about it a whole lot. We do want to say though, in what we're sending out, we think it's a great time to update your beneficiary designations. Some of you we found as we go through have either listed somebody who's no longer there, no longer somebody you'd want listed, or perhaps there's been a death or something, you know. But regardless, beneficiary designation is very important. You want to make sure that it's consistent with your estate plan. So on that note, we just want to encourage you, call us with questions, whatever it is. Jeff, you want to talk about steps a little bit, and
Sure.
we'll you know.
Yeah, so what's going to happen, you know, those of you that were watching this video didn't get to attend the informational sessions that we've been running this week, or maybe you did and you want to find out more information.
Sure.
So what you're going to do is you're going to get a packet in the mail, and it's going to have the 401k Latte logo on there. Open it up, and the first page will be a letter from Peter explaining everything that we've talked about just now.
Right.
The next page, you're going to have a front and back form that is essentially the form that's required to open a brand new account, set up beneficiaries on there if it's an IRA. You're going to be able to authorize SEM to get withdrawals out of your account to the bank that you specify, or maybe to the address of record. This is completely different than something we've had at TD Ameritrade, where if you set this up and you know, tax season, you say, you know what, I need $2,000 to cover my taxes, and that's been set up, you can call Peter's office, and then he can verify it is indeed you. He contacts us, and he says, you know, Mary wants $2,000 from this account to go into her Bank of America account, or whatever it is. And if the cash is available, we can put it in the system and it can go that day.
That's great.
If it's not, it generates a signal that says, hey, you need to make some funds available. It'll sell them that afternoon, and then the next morning, once it's available, it'll go.
Well, that's been part of one of the frustrations that we've all voiced, is that boy, sometimes it can really take time to get get money dispersed. When somebody says, I'm buying a car, I need to get whatever, it can take, so this sounds like it's going to, move that up.
Yeah, and so we would encourage you, that's on the back page of that conversion form.
Right.
On the front page, you'll have your driver's license information. That's Patriot Act stuff that's required by law.
Do it.
Make sure you are who you say you are. You don't need it to vote, but you need it to open an account.
Oh boy.
So, anyway, so
Behave.
a little political grenade there. If you missed our sessions, we talked a lot about the president, so it was a lot of fun.
It was.
But anyways, so that's what the advisor authorization is on the back page of that. You put your beneficiaries, you sign it, and then there's a few other pieces of paper in there. If you already had a recurring distribution coming out of your bank, there's a form in there to start that up. So that trust company
Won't miss a beat.
Pick up R&D information if you've had one set up. It'll pick that up. Some of the other documents that might be necessary for your specific account will be on there.
Great.
You sign them. There's a self-addressed stamped envelope in there. Send it back in. Drop it by the office if you're coming in for a review. From there, we'll take that paperwork and we'll review it, and then we'll submit it to Trust Company of America.
Yeah, that's good.
And like I said, that opens the account, and it also initiates the transfer. And this is a really cool thing, because then Trust Company of America will electronically let TD Ameritrade know, hey, these are the accounts that are moving, and electronically everything you own in your TD Ameritrade account transfers over.
It's amazing.
Tax-free event, because they'll bring your cost basis over, everything, and you'll go from one day owning them at TD Ameritrade to the next day owning them at Trust Company of America.
No tax.
No tax consequences. From there, we just have to verify you're in the right model that you're supposed to be set up under, and we start trading it.
Right.
You're going to get a welcome letter from Trust Company of America that says, hey, we've opened your account.
Yep.
I'll also send you a welcome letter that says, we've opened your account. On the back will be instructions on how to set up your online access to get all those cool things we talked about on the technology side. I don't even think I mentioned we're going to have an SEM app. So if you want to check the balances or positions of your account on the go, we're going to get you set up on the iPad, so at your table you can view account stuff for the clients.
That's good. It's good.
So from there we're going to have that. I'll also send you a new investment policy statement to exactly say how we're managing your account.
Great. All right. Well, that's a lot of information. You have any questions, give us a call. You can always do that, 952-882-0400. Stop in, set an appointment, whatever. We're here to help. It's not going to be a hard thing at all. We're looking forward to it. And it's going to produce, Jeff, unless I'm mistaken, less paper.
Less
overall.
Paper.
We're looking forward to that. So thanks for listening, and call us with questions.